Andrew was thrilled his father would finally get to meet his wife, but his joy soured when Dad accused his wife of being a gold digger. Andrew doesn't know who to believe until he sees a shocking incident on his home security footage. "Dad!" Andrew greeted his father with open arms, hugging the older man tightly. "It's so good to see you. How was your flight?" Andrew's father, Josh, shrugged. "It was okay. Now this must be your lovely bride, Elsa." Josh beamed at the gorgeous woman beside his son. "I'm so sorry I missed the wedding." Elsa smiled brightly as she hugged Josh. "You're here now, and it's wonderful to meet you." The trio chatted as they walked to the airport exit. It was a sunny day with a pleasant chill in the breeze. Perfect weather for the long overdue family reunion. "I hope you're hungry, Dad," Andrew said as he loaded the baggage into the trunk. "Elsa's prepared a special dinner to welcome you to our home." Josh grinned at Elsa, who blushed. Such a demure young lady. Josh had concerns when his son first told him about his much younger bride. Andrew had never been handsome, and Josh worried he'd never settle down. What a relief that Andrew found such a sweet lady to spend his life with. Josh, Elsa, and Andrew soon sat down to dinner in Andrew's luxury townhouse. While the family savored Elsa's honey roast duck, they reminisced and shared anecdotes. Then Dad jumped into the lake, screaming his head off. "I got into so much trouble, but I still think it was worth it." Andrew chuckled. "Well, we'll see how you like it when you have kids to prank you," Josh retorted. "Oh, please don't tell me you'll ask for grandbabies now, Josh. We're still newlyweds, you know," Elsa jokingly admonished her father-in-law. "It is my parental obligation, Elsa." "Then perhaps I can distract you with dessert?" Elsa smiled as she rose from the table. "I made my family's secret recipe pie." While Elsa fetched a slice of pie for Josh and Andrew, Josh rose to visit the bathroom. He passed by the kitchen when he returned and saw something that made him rush to help Elsa. Josh wasn't as quick on his feet as he used to be. He reached the kitchen entrance too late to save the slice of pie that fell into the trash, but just in time to see Elsa's true colors. "Oh dear," the woman muttered as she retrieved the slice of pie from the trash. "Well, what Josh doesn't know won't hurt him, but it will give me a reason to smile at the old geezer." Josh couldn't believe his ears. He retreated from the kitchen door before Elsa could turn and spot him. What a two-faced little rat. Josh returned to the dinner table and looked at his son. He had to tell Andrew what he saw, but how? This was sure to break the boy's heart. Dad ran into view on one of the upstairs cameras and disappeared into the hall. Elsa appeared moments later. Was she chasing Dad? "Here's dessert." Elsa beamed at Josh when she set his slice of pie before him. "I hope you like it." Josh resisted the temptation to call Elsa out right there. Instead, he gave a sad sigh and pushed the plate away. "I'm sorry, my dear, but I'm allergic to cherries." "You are?" Andrew frowned at his father. "Why didn't I know that?" "I only recently discovered it," Josh lied. When Elsa left to buy coffee beans, Josh seized the opportunity to speak with Andrew privately. The two men sat on the balcony overlooking the lush garden as the sun began to set, while Josh questioned Andrew about his relationship with Elsa. "Wow, Dad," Andrew interjected eventually. "This is turning into an interrogation. What's with all the questions?" "I'm concerned," Josh cleared his throat. "This afternoon, I've come to believe that Elsa is not as sincere as she seems. I don't want to hurt you, son, but I think she might have married you for your money." Andrew's face turned red. "What? How can you say that? You've barely met her, so how can judge her?" "I saw her plate a slice of pie that fell in the trash and heard her say she'd give it to me. That's why I didn't have any dessert." "I can't believe this." Andrew began to pace. "You're lying." "I have no reason to lie," Josh replied. Andrew shook his head. "You're just jealous. It's too late for your criticism anyway, Dad. If you care so much, then you should have come out to meet Elsa before the wedding." Josh went downstairs after the argument and ran into Elsa as she returned from the shop. He immediately noticed the smell of cigarettes on her. Smoking was taboo in their family, but Elsa slipped away before Josh could confront her. He went looking for Josh instead. "There's one way I can prove your wife's dishonesty," Josh said. "She's just come home reeking of cigarettes." Andrew groaned. "I know she smokes, Dad." "And you married her anyway. Do you need a reminder of what caused your mother's lung cancer?" "Of course not," Andrew snapped. He balled his into fists. "She's trying to quit." Josh pointed at Andrew. "And she's convinced you to sacrifice your principles with a pretty smile. You may not be the most handsome man, Andy, but you can still do better than this." "That's enough. If you say one more bad thing about Elsa, I will ask you to leave, Dad. I don't know what your problem is, but I won't let you continue to slander my wife." Andrew couldn't get over his father's insults and accusations. That night, he struggled to fall asleep. Elsa snuggled in against his side and kissed his neck. "What's bugging you, baby?" Elsa asked. Josh sighed and put his arm around her. "My dad. I looked forward to this visit, but now it's ruined." "He doesn't like me, right?" Elsa sniffed quietly. "I noticed the way he looked at me this evening, like I was something he scraped off the bottom of his boot. I'm sorry, baby. I tried really hard." "It's not you, Elsa. It's him." Andrew comforted his wife with a soft kiss. "I don't know what his problem is. He even told me a crazy lie about you serving him pie from the trash." Elsa stiffened and raised herself to look Andrew in the eye. "Pie from the trash? That's absurd. You know I'd never do something like that, don't you?" Andrew's buzzing thoughts kept him up for most of the night. In the morning, he decided on a plan. "I have to go into the office," Andrew announced at breakfast. "I need to sign off on some urgent paperwork and will be home in a few hours." "So long as they don't keep you too long." Elsa took Andrew's hand across the table. "You are on vacation after all." Andrew saw nothing but sincere concern in her lovely face as she asked about Dad. He couldn't believe she'd lie to him or use him. Andrew smiled at her. He didn't want to think badly of the woman he loved so deeply, but he had to get to the bottom of this situation. When he reached his office, the first thing Andrew did was open the security camera footage for his home. Dad ran into view on one of the upstairs cameras and disappeared into the hall. Elsa appeared moments later. Was she chasing Dad? On another camera, he saw when Elsa caught up to Dad near the top of the staircase. Elsa snatched at Dad's shirt, but he pulled free. He started down the stairs with Elsa right behind him. Andrew's heart skipped a beat as he watched Elsa push his father. Dad tumbled forwards, arms waving in a desperate attempt to save himself before he fell down the stairs. Andrew raced home and arrived just as the paramedics transported Dad to the ambulance. They told him he had several bruises and would need to be monitored overnight as he had a concussion. Elsa ran into Andrew's arms the moment he entered the house. "He took my phone," she wailed, tears falling from her eyes. "He was going to text you to make it seem like I was cheating, so I chased him to get the phone back." Elsa sobbed. "I slipped, bumped him, and he fell down the stairs." Andrew frowned. He'd seen the footage, and Elsa's story didn't quite add up. Had she pushed Dad by accident because she slipped? It was possible, but Andrew didn't recall seeing a phone in Dad's hand. "I'm sure everything will be okay," Andrew said, rubbing Elsa's back. He'd wait until he heard Dad's version and watched the video footage again before he decided who to believe. Elsa looked up at him with a smile. "I'm so glad you believe me. I'd never do anything to hurt your dad or our marriage." Andrew hoped she was telling the truth. The hospital had sad news for Andrew when he and Elsa arrived to visit Dad the next day. "Your father is having memory issues," a nurse informed Andrew. "He doesn't recall anything leading to his accident. For now, we're only allowing him to have one visitor at a time. Since you're his son, it's best only you see him until we figure out the memory loss." Elsa agreed to wait outside. Andrew entered his father's room with a heavy heart, uncertain of what he'd find. He'd hoped his father could help him settle the doubts in his heart about Elsa. Dad lay in bed, but he looked up when Andrew drew close. "Did the nurse tell you I've had a memory lapse?" Dad asked. "She did. Do the doctors know when your memories will return? I'd like to hear your version of events." "And I intend to tell you." Josh sat up. "I asked the nurse to lie about my memory because it's the only way you'll get to see proof of what I'm about to tell you. Take a seat." Andrew sat and listened as Dad told him everything. "I looked at Elsa's phone while she was in the bathroom." Dad clenched his jaw. "I found a salacious message she sent to someone called Jack, saying she'd meet him at their usual hotel tonight. She's having an affair." "She came out then and saw me with her phone," Dad continued. "I ran and she chased me. She pushed me down those stairs. Now, because Elsa thinks I don't remember anything, she'll probably go through with her plan to meet Jack." Dad squeezed Andrew's hand. "You have to go to the hotel, then you'll know the truth." Andrew was even more confused than before. When he left the hospital room, Elsa immediately came to him. Andrew saw nothing but sincere concern in her lovely face as she asked about Dad. He couldn't believe she'd lie to him or use him, but Dad had always been straightforward and honest. He doesn't remember anything about the fall. Andrew lied. Elsa radiated sympathy. They went home, and as the evening wore on, Andrew began to doubt Dad's words. Elsa was attentive and supportive. She never once looked at her phone or checked the clock, until she suddenly rose and announced she was going shopping. Andrew's heart dropped when he followed Elsa to a hotel parking lot. Many reasons why she might be there rattled through his mind as he trailed her down a hallway, but there was no excuse for what happened next. A shirtless man opened the door to the hotel room, and Elsa leaped into his arms, her arms wrapped around his neck when he kissed her. She squealed and giggled like a teenager when he lifted her bridal style and carried her into the room. Andrew's heart shattered. He thought he'd finally found a woman who appreciated him for more than his appearance when he met Elsa, but now he realized she'd used his vulnerability to manipulate him. Andrew went home and sent Elsa a text message that he never wanted to see her again. First thing in the morning, Andrew called his lawyer and instructed her to start divorce proceedings. The next morning, Andrew visited Dad in the hospital and told him what he saw. "I've been such a fool," Andrew said. "I'm so sorry I didn't believe you, Dad. I hope you can forgive me." "Of course." Josh smiled at Andrew. "I wish this never happened to you, son." A nurse entered the room then, interrupting the conversation. "I'm so sorry, I didn't realize you had a visitor." The nurse looked at Andrew and blushed. I'll come back later." Josh chuckled. "It's certainly for the best that you uncovered Elsa's deceit now. You never know, Andy. The one that's meant for you might be just around the corner.